And so, welcome to the next video here. I'm Gabi, Gift of the Gab. I teach French, and this is a nice way for you to pick up vocab and pick up good habits concerning vocab acquisition. All this towards the goal of Compréhension de l'Écrit, whether you have a test, immigration test, whether you just want to read emails and make sure you understand correctly. Well, all of that, it starts with words. If you understand the words, you will understand the question. You will understand everything. And so we are not concerned here with answering the actual tests. We are using document Compréhension de l'Écrit from the Government of Canada, School of Public Works, available on publications.gc.ca. Just a quick reminder in case you did not know this. Now, I highly recommend that you have a pen and paper, a pencil even better, paper like this, even a quick little notebook like this will be great. Anything of the sort. The idea is, ideally, if you want to pick up words, well, we're going to have to look them up. Now, a lot of stuff you already know. Why do you know it? Because you know communication. You know French. No, you know English. You know another language. Does not matter. You will pick it up easily. You do have communication. D'accord? You understand even someone who does not speak a language at all or doesn't speak at all. They have communication. So what are we concerned with? Words. We want words. If you understand the words, you understand the question, the context, and so on. Let's continue moving forward. So it's a lot of the same words we reuse all the time. So we're going very linear. But if there was a faster way, I would have figured it out. I'm very concerned with accurate, proper acquisition of knowledge in in a small amount of time. There's all kinds of techniques and all that, but that's not for the masses. People who know tricks, they can memorize an entire deck of cards and so on. Well, we want this to be consistent, and so you do know the words, you understand what they mean. You simply haven't seen them yet, my friend. You know them in another language. On y va. Let's go with this. We do not want to answer the questions, we just want the vocab. Alors, diving right in. Question 2. Question. Choisissez. We're telling you choose, but we're saying it to vous. To vous being you, my good sir, you, my good madam, the plural of you. Tu is, toi is you, while vous is you, plural, which is how we'll address somebody if we're speaking politely. You might be one person, you may be many people. You are vous in the workplace. Alors, vous choisissez. You choose. Alors, this means choisissez here. Choisissez means choose. It is an order. That is called impératif. I'm not teaching you grammaire here. Let's focus. Alors, choisissez le groupe, the group of des mots. Choose. Oh, pardon. Mot, un mot, a word. Now, un mot, how does MOT make mot? Is because you need to know something of crucial importance. STPD. STPD. I will put it in huge. That's something that I do here, apparently. Alors, I will put it in huge. And why do I put it in huge? Is because STPD will spell stupid. These are the stupid letters. And why are they stupid? Why are we so critical? Why are we so judgmental about these letters? Because we do not pronounce an S. We do not pronounce the T. We do not pronounce the P. And we do not pronounce the D at the end of a word en français. Alors, you might have picked up on that, but now you know it officially. It is égal, for example. Alors, par exemple, ça va être un mot. It will not be un mot. And that stuff could surely change the understanding of the word and so on and so forth. Communication. Un mot, a word. Alors, let's move on. We're back over here. Choisissez le groupe de mots le plus approprié. Now, I will highlight this. Le plus. Plus means more. Just like in English, plus does mean more. D'accord? But the idea here is that it is not just plus, it is le plus. And le plus is a different term. It will be plus, plus is more. Le plus is the most. Le, this is useless, and this is really beyond just average grammar. It is a bit more. This is known as superlative. Superlative. Same word. All these have the same word in English. Why? Because we have the same grammar in both languages. We just don't teach them the same way. But it means the ultimate, the best, the most, the greatest, the cheapest, whatever it is. It's not, he's not it's not, people say, well, he's kind of the best. It's not the kind of, doesn't exist in this context here. The best, the very best. Alors, le plus approprié. Approprié will be appropriate. Now, appropriate will be the word appropriate in the sense of one thing belonging to another. Alors, the answer belongs to the question belongs to the answer. And what I mean by that, proprietor, propriety. People will appropriate another culture, stuff like that. Alors, appropriate is the exact, in this case, appropriated is the exact word. Now, I want you to know, crucial versus convenable. Convenable, why? That is to be proper. Did that guy just belch? That is not appropriate. Alors, convenable, not proper. Convenable means it does not convene, but that is our word en français to say appropriate or not appropriate, and so on. Very strong difference here. We don't want to use the wrong word. Alors, proper in the sense of D'accord. I think we get it here. Convenable means proper in the sense of appropriate. Approprié does mean appropriated in this case. Alors, the relevant answer, which one is the right answer? À insérer. Insérer. Insérer is the verb to insert. It seems that way. It is. D'accord. Dans. I'll put that in capital. Dans. In. Le plus vowel or H, alors plus H, A, E, I, O, or U will be equals L apostrophe. D'accord. It is un espace. Alors, un espace is a space, quite literally. L'espace, the space. The space. Might not make much sense, but the space. En is kind of like in. But if we break it down, people don't like when I say this stuff. I usually, a lot of French teachers, there's a lot of clashing. I don't like it at all because I feel like the language is very flexible. It should be. It's alive. And so it wants to progress. There's often more than one correct answer or way about to say something. But not everybody agrees with that. En does mean in, but in Latin form, comes from a Latin form, it means in the state of. Now, I put that kind of stuff in quotes because if you start using in the state of, you will sound overly accurate and you will just sound inaccurate very quickly due to that. Alors, in the state of. Alors, alors means and so. En blanc, in the state of blanc, blanc being white. Donc, d'accord, Doesn't matter what they're trying to say here, but it's fill in the blank, is what they're saying. Alors, en blanc, in blank. It means in white, and so what? Remplir l'espace, fill the space. Alors, we don't care to know what space they are trying to fill in here, but we are going to observe, we're going to learn every word, and knowing every word will help us to know which one would be correct if we were to answer this document. Alors, par ailleurs means besides. I will write these down over here. Par ailleurs. Fairly fancy, fairly rare equals the words besides. En italique. Italique in the state of italic. Quite literally. Si means here. Alors, si joint means here attached. It translates directly to the word, or here joined. Joined. I will put it like that, joined. But it means attached. For example, you will see if you are putting an attachment in an email, alors il y a le document. Le document s'y joint. The document attached. And in English, I would probably say it, the attached document. D'accord? That is a distinction between French and English. Adjectives will go after, typically, en français. Almost always. Are there exceptions? There are. But we don't care about exceptions because we're trying to pick up a lot of stuff soon. We don't want to be discouraged. Okay. Par ailleurs, besides, en italique, in italic. Si joint, attached. Si dessous. Boy, I'm confused parce que we saw something very similar earlier. Sur means on. Sous means below. Now, I don't want to sound like a pompous jerk here, but I'll go with this. I was tortured as a child. I was tortured with French homework constantly by my parents, who were both translators, and both teachers before that. And my father was a math teacher, very intricate, and so on. What I mean to say is that there is something in Greek. I believe it's called rhodecisme. I don't want to look it up, and I don't want to look like a fool now. But le rhodecisme is the fact that the letter R will turn potentially in the letter S. This is beyond grammar. This is understanding language behavior. French, English, both languages have this because they come from Greek. D'accord? The letter R will become the letter S. For example, finir in English is the word to finish. Huh. Because they went different ways about it, but the two languages took it from Greek and from Latin. Alors, where does that leave us? Sur is en and sous is below. But I want you to know that perhaps often in French you will see, if you are shopping around, if you are browsing a store in French or online and so on, you will see taxe en su. What? That means en su. That means in the state of sur. But it's not sur, it's su, because the R can turn into an S. It's not like we can just do that whenever we want. The languages have been built that way. Some words are just like that. Alors, su. That explains why we have the word dessus. Dessus, which is on top of. Sur is on, but dessus is on top of. And we have the word, gosh golly, you're going to hate me here, dessous. D'accord? Dessus and dessous. On top of, below. I'm not concerned with dessous. I've already spoke about it earlier in the previous video. What I want is dessous, below, underneath of, underneath of. D'accord. To make sure that's very clear and we have room here, I'm going to move that over, my friends. D'accord. And so, how crucial is this? It is the difference between on top of and below. Are those tricks of the language? Things that people should know. I'll go with that. I think that people probably should know this stuff. D'accord? I will put this stuff in green because I figure it is relevant to know. Alors, I want you to identify to see it better. And so we've got dessus, we've got dessus and dessous, which are now also in green to distinguish it from that other stuff we've said. This stuff here, I will just put in another color. No, I will leave it as is. D'accord? I don't like to put stuff in red, as red stuff is usually crucial. I will put it in a lighter blue, and I will put this stuff in another color. Which color we're gonna go with? Let's go with purple, just for eyesight. D'accord. You just picked up a lot of words very simply here. Let's continue a little bit. I think we could probably squeeze in more vocab. So, my friends, question 3. Choisissez le mot le plus approprié. Choose the word the most appropriate to insert in the space in blank, in white. Literally white, it's not blank. B. Let's check them out. I know those words. Pour is for or to. Or let's go with a synonym would be in order to. Great. I love it. Vers, I will put this over here. Vers is towards. A is at or to, towards that direction, for example. And dans, I think we covered it. It means in. I think a lot of these words are fairly important, fairly relevant. I put them all in capital. It's not super clear. Alors, just for clarity, I'm going to put the translation in regular font here. Towards. Pour, these words come up all the time. Vers, towards, not so much. Not as common of a word. I think you guys will agree that the word for is one of the most popular ones in English ever. We use it all the time. In order to. And then dans, in, well, I'm going to go ahead and say we probably need the word in, just overall in life. In life. And so, my friends, we picked up a lot of words, basic words, but these words in their position, above or below, makes a world of difference. In or in the state of. Is it a space? The space? Is it a word? Should we pronounce the last letter? Alors, STPD, and so on. I will let you guys really kind of see the whole thing here. I think it's crucial that you do see all of the teachings. Alors, I will move this over here, roughly, and I will move our screen up. I will remove my big silly face, and that should give you plenty to look at and to copy and so on. I would like you to rewrite those words. If you rewrite the words, then you will have them in a list. What do we do with these lists? We just did question 1, 2, and 3. That's a lot of content. It's an hour of content. This list of words that you're generating. And please, a pencil is very powerful, and we always talk about the sword, the pen. The pen is mightier than the sword. What I mean to say here is that surely a pen is very useful to write a letter and so on. But perhaps what they were talking about is that a pencil is very good for your wits. It's good for the brain. That eye-to-hand coordination. There is a lot that we pick up instantly from this movement here. We're so very close. We can smell the ink. And so, what I mean to say is that the fact that you put that effort, those extra movements right next to your face, that will make the words stay. They will stick to your brain. We don't want people like to think memorization is going over and over and over. Yeah, for things that are unimportant. Words like in and above and below and attached, like I believe that the word ci joint, that sounds like something that should be in basically all of your emails. Your emails are kind of like your entire job, often enough, and at least all the communication you might get done. A lot of the communication you do in your life is in writing. I would say those words are very relevant, and so on. Now, let's move forward, my friends. We will continue on to the next question. You see, there's a lot that we can extract. I hope you are picking up all the words. I hope you will study those words. You can go over a video a dozen times. I hope you're enjoying yourself. This is entirely free training. Now, I hope that you pass your test. We can do a lot, and we'll continue. This will always be free. I have other content that I think should be free and that I made free. I have free test, Écrit test, material, government material, very in line with our SLE exams here. I also have apps. I have created apps. I do have a training, self-paced training. I teach exactly like this, but I teach Écrit. I teach how the language behaves in about, because we target the exact goals of a language, and we bear in mind that you are an adult who has a lot of knowledge and experience and specialties. You are specialized in your field of work. You have your own ministry, your own team, your own position, your own life, your own preferences. Well, the training is tailored for individuality. What I mean to say is that there are ways to pick up things that are very relevant to you and to your workplace, and so on. Sharing opinions, sharing views, all of this is crucial in work. The training that I offer in self-paced training is relatively 35 or so hours. I constantly increase the content, but in 35 hours, I can pretty well guarantee someone with no experience will get a CBB. Vocab acquisition is a bonus. I consider that this stuff I'm teaching you, I'm showing you, you should be doing on your own. But I don't mind doing it with you. I just don't want it to become something that's happening in the background that you are not actively paying attention to. You will not pick up the language if you don't pay attention. And this is something that I discuss in another playlist. So I do have other material that's available. I do have an actual school and actual content. I teach people one-on-one for higher level communication. But I do have a generic program, and an average CBB that takes people 100 hours at any language schools. I do it in roughly 30-35 hours, depending on how much material you go through, and I have pretty much a 100% success rate. I'm very gifted at what I do because I had to suffer a lot to acquire English, to acquire French, to be the very best at a very young age. I didn't have a normal childhood here. But the point is, all this transforms to there's available material for you. I want you to succeed, and please check it out. Let's continue. There's always going to be more of this content, and this is very relevant. It's very appropriate for your workplace. You can learn. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube and on the internet about boy eats apple, man closes window. Not very pragmatic. Alors, this is very relevant to your success, to your career. Let's continue. I hope you're enjoying yourself.